Okay, so second thing I had a plan that didn't happen according to my plan. During this visit, there was an idea to speak about Krishna in Vrindavan. And there's many reasons. Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes are fantastic. Charming, sweet. Anyone and everyone, little fidgety, restless boys, they can pay attention because it's so nice. Sometimes they get a little restless anyways, but the storyline or the pastime itself is so charming. And embedded within those charming pastimes are many lessons, and one of the important lessons is to understand the nature of Krishna in ways that just amazing. The unlimitedness of the unlimited is not just God is good, God is great. Religion teaches Lord God Almighty. I remember singing in Sunday school or in church services. Lord God Almighty, merciful. So, he has these characteristics, but is there a limit? And if there isn't a limit, what's it like there to be with Krishna? Is it worth making a significant sacrifice and dedication of life? The Bhagavatam provides us that information because Srimad Bhagavatam is about Bhagavan. It's Bhagavata. The book Bhagavata is in relation to Bhagavan. And the details and details and details of Bhagavan are presented in the Bhagavata. And amongst the descriptions of Bhagavan, the most sweet of all is Krishna in Vrindavan. So that's what we're going to be discussing, Krishna in Vrindavan. And hopefully, like me, you, all of us, will feel some affinity to come to that stage. I don't need another fan. If you want it, I don't need another fan. Thanks. Those people may need a fan, but just, they're saying no. Thanks. So yesterday evening, I selected speaking about chapter 11 because I want to speak about chapter 12 and chapter 13 and chapter 14. Fantastic. Will you hear? So chapter 12 is as you see on the screen here, Krishna kills the demon Aghasura. Aghasura is a python, or he's a living entity that has mystic powers, and he can change his shape according to will. Now, most of us can't do that. Can you do that? Yeah? Whoa. You can show us later, okay? So, Aghasura had a brother and a sister. I was asked this question. Hanumat Preshik Swami was asking, what do I know about the parents of these, the three demons that Krishna killed in Vrindavan were brother and sister and two brothers. Aghasura was the eldest of the three. Next, younger, was Baka. So yesterday we heard about Bakasura. And it's important to hear about Bhaktasura before Aghasura, because Aghasura, one of his motivations was get back, because Krishna killed my brother and Krishna killed my sister. Don't mention the fact that they came to kill Krishna and it didn't work out. But Krishna killed my sister, and the sister, Putana, the first demon that Krishna killed was Putana, and she had mystic powers too. We discussed this a little bit yesterday. The idea is to lead up to Aghasura, because the Aghasura story ends at a point where the Brahma Vimohan Leela happens, and then something else happens, and something. That's a whole series of, in one day, this amazing scene. So who can imagine the scenes of all the other days? All the other days weren't, no day in Krishna's life was ordinary. It's all spectacular. And we have highlights found in 10th Canto Bhagavatam, but we must understand, filled with mystery and charm and attractiveness, and Krishna exhibiting amazing features. So you all know this, that I believe there are some newer people here. Putana, so I'm going to narrate slowly the earlier, his sister and his brother. The sister, Putana, was a witch, and she had mystic powers such as she could fly in the sky, and she could assume any form she wanted. It doesn't say, what technology she used. She just had a mystic power. She could do that. And when Kamsa was informed by Narada Muni, imagine being Narada Muni and paying a visit to Kamsa. He's such a bad person. And you know what Narada said to Kamsa? He said, Kamsa, you don't have to worry about Vasudeva. Don't worry about Vasudeva. Worry about the 8th child of Vasudeva, because it's that 8th child that's going to kill you. And I'll tell you where he is. He's somewhere over there. Because Kamsa was in the capital in Mathura, and Vrindavan is kind of like the agricultural land that would supply the necessities for the city of Mathura. So the agriculturalists were under the jurisdiction of the king. The king was like the landlord. He owned, it was his kingdom. And then they had some agricultural land, and every year they would pay taxes by bringing vegetables and grains and milk, and, pay taxes to the king. So surrounding Mathura was Vrindavan, at least in one direction. And he said, you have to find Krishna and kill him. No, what's Narada saying that to Kamsa? He's saying it because you can't kill Krishna, but Krishna's going to kill Kamsa. So, in addition to killing Kamsa, there are many cohorts, there are many buddies, and many criminals in crime with this chief criminal, the thug, as assistants. So Kamsa thanked him very much, treated him very respectfully, and Narada took off. Immediately, they're really interesting paintings, very old style paintings. Kamsa's up in a palace, and he calls the assembly of the mob, the people that are going to go do his bidding to kill Krishna. So the first one he picks is Putana. And, her assignment is twofold. He didn't say how to do it, but the twofold assignment was find him, and second, kill him. He didn't say how to find him, didn't say how to kill him, just that was the assignment. So she was happy. She's a witch. She was happy to accept the assignment. And so off she went, flying in the sky, zooming around in the sky, looking for a needle in the haystack, looking for a child that she's supposed to kill. And she came across this child, that child, the other child. They weren't the right child. She had some intuitive sense along with her mystic powers. And then when she found out where he was, she assumed the form of the goddess, like the goddess of fortune, meaning beautiful as all get out, decorated, fantastic ornaments. She was a witch, but she made herself look like the goddess of fortune. So much charm in the physical covering. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So much charm that, you know the story, she was able to get right into the chamber where Yashoda was keeping a newborn child. Newborn people don't go into the place where a newborn child is. You got to have a pass and a visa, and it's a whole credential thing. They didn't know who she was, and they let her right in. And then she did her business, or tried to, was to poison Krishna. And because she came, although her motive was horrible, she came with the intention of acting like a mother to feed little newborn baby Krishna. 3 months old. Think of those of you that are mothers or parents. 3-month-old child, very small. Not even goo goo gaga, just like crying and smiling. So, in her attempt to kill Krishna, he accepted her feeding him, and then, with the same time, he sucked out her breath, her life air, and her soul. And she started screaming. Louder than that, too. And her body got big. The demon witch size. Does anybody remember how long her body became? Several miles? Huh? 8 miles. Yeah, that's my memory also, 8 miles. But she got up. Krishna made an arrangement that when she fell, it was outside the village. So the agricultural land and nobody's homes got squished because an 8-mile long body is humongous. Anyway, that's another pastime, the first demon. Then there was others and others. And when they wanted to get rid of this body, so normally in Vedic culture, at time of death, a body is burned, but it's an 8-mile long body. So they got choppers and chopped the body into little pieces and burned the body because the body had been touched by Krishna's feet. It smelled like incense, fragrant incense, musk, very, very nice fragrant scent. Most bodies don't. When you burn bodies, it smells bad. Flesh. It was fragrant. So they were wondering, the mercy of providence. God saved our little boy. Because it must be because of some pious activities we've done. They weren't seeing, they didn't were seeing what happened. They could see what they could see. It remained a mystery, and then others and others. So in chapter 11, which we discussed yesterday, the scene, the age of Krishna at this time is 4 years old. This little boy, how old are you? 5? You know what? Krishna was younger than you in chapter 11. We're now in chapter 12. In chapter 12, he's now 4 years, 4 months, taking care of calves, not cows, because he's too little. Smaller than you. You're 5. He was 4. And chapter 11 begins. It's pastime after pastime after pastime after pastime of what do little boys do? They play. Right? You have some friends. What do you do when you get together with your friends? You play. Right? So he was playing with his friends, and their activities are described, their attire is described, the whole panorama scene of Vrindavan, because there are different seasons, and according to season, there's a particular nature of foliage that grows, and flowers that grow, and fragrances in the breeze, and it's a very idyllic depiction. And then, so 2 things happen in chapter 11. There's another demon that's sent by Kamsa, and his name, he's called Aghasura. He is another person that could shape change. And in this case, he assumed the form of a calf, because Vatsa means calf. Vatsasura, he's a calf demon. So his plan was to appear like the calves, one of the calves, and in the right time attack Krishna and kill Krishna. That was, it's a deception. So Krishna immediately, this isn't a calf, that's a demon. And he played like he didn't know. But when the time was right, he went right in the midst of all the calves, grabbed the calf demon by his hind legs, and twirled him around, and by centrifugal force he'd lost his life. He threw him up in a tree. And then something like that happened later with Dhenukasura. And the boys said, well done, let's have lunch. This common thing that happens after Krishna kills a demon. But before they had lunch, there was another demon. They continued walking, and they found, see, this is yesterday, review. They saw this humongous, it looked like a mountain in the middle of the forest. And the shape of a duck. And there was another demon sent by Kamsa to kill Krishna. So his shape-changing plan was he adopted a body like a baka, a duck, or a crane. And Krishna walked right up to him, and Baka grabbed him in his beak and held him in his beak. He was a big guy. So the cowherd boys, Krishna! I mean, they can't appeal to Krishna to save them because Krishna is the one that's in difficulty, not them. Balaram was there on this particular day. Balaram fainted. Now, Balaram, he's all powerful. He one sacco and the guy's finished. But he fainted. Out of his intense affection for his brother, just to see his brother in that condition, of course, by Yogamaya's arrangement, divine arrangement, his intelligence went to sleep. His intelligence was withdrawn. Although he's the supreme, Yogamaya covered his intelligence. So he, instead of rescuing his brother, because he's the elder brother, and he's Balaram, like, Bala, spiritual strength. No one can stop Balaram. But he fainted. And all the coward boys, because Krishna's their life and soul, and he's in the mouth of this giant demon. So Krishna knew what to do. What Krishna was doing, we discussed this yesterday, I'm just trying to do a little review to get the mood. Krishna was accepting their love, naturally, because that's what the Supreme Lord does. He accepts their loving service, and he was giving them the opportunity to experience a secondary rasa in addition to their friendship rasa or sakya rasa. And that was the secondary rasa of astonishment. And when that astonishment was so overwhelming they fainted, what did Krishna do? He decided to kill him. So how did he do that? He made his body hot, so hot, that Baka couldn't bear the heat. He's just, a spiritual body, but he can do things. So he got so hot, he had to spit him out. And when he spit him out, the Baka, the demon, tried with his beak to try to capture Krishna again. Big mistake. And so what did Krishna do? Krishna saw the duck demon, and he took his lower and his upper beak and bifurcated it into two. And Aghasura was finished. And the cowherd boys were, yay! Time for lunch. So they went and had lunch. And that's where we ended yesterday. I mean, there's more details, but just to give you the picture of the mood. So time passed, and meanwhile, back in back in Mathura, Kamsa's getting these messages, these powerful personalities, mystics, were killed by Krishna, this little boy. So now he knows where he is, as Narada said. And he's not just somewhere out there, he's in Vrindavan. So he knows, like, where to send the missiles so he can hit the target. So the next one he sends is Aghasura. Now, a little bit, just to begin, there's description of different names of Krishna based on this pastime of killing Aghasura. Now, Krishna, he's one person, but he has many names. Even we have different names, depending upon the relationship with the person, who may be called mother or father, or maybe called sir, or maybe called Mr. something something, or something something. We have different names by which we may be known. But one person, just describing the relationship. So in the relationship of Krishna's killing Aghasura, here's some Sanskrit names. This is taken from Govinda Virodhavali, the enemy of the Agha demon, Agha Vivisha, Agha Ripoho. Krishna, the enemy of the Agha demon. This is from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's writing. You all know who's Krishnadas Kaviraj. He's the author or compiler of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which he wrote when he was really old. But he was requested to write because he was a good writer. He'd already written other books. And one of these other books is Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, and that's the title of the book. Sukha Sari Stava. Here's another reference from that same book. Aghade, the Ari, the enemy of Agha, Agadamana, the destroyer of Aghasura, Agha bit. This is Ujjvala Nilamani. Ujjvala Nilamani is a book by Rupa Goswami, and then there's a commentary or tika on that book, and this is the name of Krishna found in that book. So, it's interesting. Here is a reference from chapter 14, because 12 leads to 13, leads to 14. So this is a verse in chapter 14. Any person who hears or chants these pastimes of Lord Murari performed with his cowherd friends, the killing of Aghasura, taking of lunch in the forest, grass, the Lord's manifestation of transcendental forms, and the wonderful prayers offered by Lord Brahma, is sure to achieve his spiritual desires. So hopefully we have spiritual desires, and those spiritual desires being fulfilled, there's a means to get there. That's hear these wonderful pastimes. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. Here's another scriptural reference. These descriptions of Lord Krishna's pastimes with his cowherd boys, his eating with them on the bank of the Yamuna, and Lord Brahma's prayers unto him are all transcendental subject matters. Anyone who hears, recites, or chants them surely gets all his spiritual desires fulfilled. Just today, for your appreciation, just today I spent some time going through commentaries on chapter 14. Chapter 14 is Brahma's prayers. Chapter 13 is Brahma gets bewildered because he tries to mess with Krishna's pastimes. Brahma kidnapped the cowherd boys and the calves and put them in a cave. That's not nice. And he came back to see what would Krishna do. Maybe he's going to cry and whimper. And anyway, there's the whole chapter 13 of that pastime. And when Krishna showed his mystic powers, his unlimited powers, Brahma fell at his feet with his palms folded and offered amazing prayers. That's chapter 14. So just today, I spent some time gathering commentaries from chapter 14. There's 250 pages of commentary. So one of the times, sometime, I make a public announcement. At some point, I'll have sorted through that and have different presentations on that, and we'll go through Brahma's prayers with the commentaries. Hold on to your socks when you hear all this, because it's his love. Brahma is not an ordinary fellow. He's the most intelligent person in the whole universe, the firstborn person. That's one credential. But he's not only firstborn. He knows how to build the universe. Some persons may know how to build a house, the contractors, and some person may know how to build a skyscraper. Someone may know how to build a computer or the camera, or build a Tesla, or do stuff. He built the universe. He's the best engineer around. Super and intimate, and he was so trusted that Garbhodakshay Vishnu invested in him the plan, the power, the materials, and like on your mark, get set, go, build the universe. And he gave him spiritual realization of his identity and his eternal identity. Shoo. I learned something being with a disciple, a god brother of mine, Shamasundar Prabhu, Prabhupada's disciple Shamasundar, who was Prabhupada's personal servant, personal secretary, excuse me, for 4 years, every day with Prabhupada for 4 years. And subsequently, he then wrote his memoirs and so forth and so on. It's like, he's an amazing person. So I spent some time with him about 3 weeks ago. And he knows a lot about nature. So we were walking along the road, and he was showing me the root structure. Sorry for the detour, but it's building a universe. So most trees begin from a seed. But the sequoia tree, the big redwood sequoia trees, they're huge, and they don't grow from seeds. They grow from the roots expanding, and then over there another redwood tree will start to grow. And he put me to the side of the road. You see that over there? It looks like a weed growing out of the ground, along a path. He said that's a redwood tree. And where did it come from? It came from Mama. Mama's the big tree over there, because there's root structure, and sometimes the root structure goes right through the ground and then creates another tree. And for that reason, redwood trees don't fall over, because they're supported by their family. And so when there's wind, like hurricane, and many trees in the forest fall over, the redwoods stand, because they have this root structure. So it's like, and you're going to build that? Build them, as Prabhupada said, make a mosquito. Make one mosquito. Not only a mosquito that can fly this way and that way and that way, but can reproduce itself. Go ahead. Make a mosquito machine. Like robotics, artificial intelligence. You can anyway, without going into it. We're tiny, and Brahma's tiny compared to Krishna, but he's the most intelligent. He built a universe with all of its details, all its complexity. Go for a walk sometime in the forest, and what are the varieties of life out there? And then all the species and everything. And he knew how to do it, and he did it. No, and the ingredients were given to him, but we can be given ingredients. Are you going to build the universe? You're going to build a forest? You're going to build a mosquito? Sorry, Charlie. But Brahma can do it, and he did it. So, the prayers of Brahma, that's one chapter. We're heading there. That's this chapter 14. It's narrated, it's described in this particular verse. But Brahma's prayers unto him are all transcendental subject matters. Anyone who hears, recites, and chants them, surely gets all his spiritual desires fulfilled. Now here's a verse by Rupa Goswami. There's some singing, and it's recorded that you can follow along if you like to sing. Otherwise, just let your eyes follow the verse. She's going to sing, as long as technology permits this to work, each line twice, slowly. It's very melodious. And it's just describing, Rupa Goswami, it's a two-part prayer. Humility and hope. Vaishnava song.
Prachinanam bhajanam atulam dushkaram shruvato me. Prachinanam bhajanam atulam dushkaram
shruvato me. Sinadriti Yudayam Bhakti Leshana Sasya Swadicim. Bindu Rupa Goswami writes, the humility part, I am very weak and lazy to do even the smallest devotional service. And so when I hear of the peerless and difficult to perform services performed by the great devotees in ancient times, my heart burns with despair. Where's their hope for me? Then, hope. O Lord, O killer of Aghasura, when I hear that your waves of mercy splash everyone from the demigod Brahma down to the most insignificant creature, then my heart becomes sprinkled with a cooling drop of hope. This metaphor, the waves, that's like water, the waves of mercy splash, and some drops may go over here, and just by being touched by some drops, sprinkled with a cooling drop of the waves of your mercy given to everyone, I have some hope. It's very sweet. There's poetry or metaphor in the verse, but it's Rupa Goswami's mood, reaching, like the image is showing, reaching to Krishna's loving hand. And Krishna kindly extends his hand. Another of our great acharyas is Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami spent many, many years in Puri with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then after Mahaprabhu's departure, he spent many, many years in Vrindavan specifically, by the side of Govardhan Hill at Radhakund. So his verse written by him. And he serves Radhakund with the idea that by serving Radhakund, he's serving Radharani, which is the liquid manifestation of Radharani's mercy. And that was his mood, and that was his realization. May very dear and fragrant Radhakund, where Krishna, the enemy of Agha, yearning to attain the merciful sidelong glance of Sri Radha, eagerly and diligently bathes and renders service, be my shelter. So while he was just not just living in Vrindavan, he was living in Vrindavan, but he was completely absorbed in a spontaneous loving mood of loving Radharani and loving Radharani's love for Krishna. He was very absorbed, right to the very end of his life, completely absorbed in Radha's love for Krishna. So he had love for Radha, who had love for Krishna. And he was very clear. He wasn't, because he was very clear, there was nothing unclear. And whatever he saw, it was seen through that lens. Incredible Vaishnava. So now we're ready for beginning chapter 12. I don't know how far I'm going to get, because I've been speaking a whole bunch, some background capturing the mood. But here's the very first verse of chapter 12. Shukadeva Goswami is the speaker, addressing Maharaj Parikshit, O king. Those of you that are back there, if you can't see the screen, you're invited to come over this side, because there's some space over on this side. If you want to sit over there, it's okay. If you want to see the screen, come on over. As you wish. O king, one day Krishna decided to take his breakfast as a picnic in the forest. having risen early in the morning, he blew his bugle made of horn and woke all the cowherd boys. Krishna woke up the cowherd boys by, he didn't have a conch shell. They weren't living in a temple, they're living in a village, but he knew how to do it. He has a powerful horn. He blew his horn, buffalo horn, and woke up the cowherd boys. And they understood what that meant. It's time to go to the forest with Krishna. Then Krishna and the boys, keeping their respective groups of calves before them, proceeded from Brajabhumi to the forest. Now, a little background. Normally, the routine was Krishna would get up early in the morning, Mother Yasoda would wake him, and after she woke him, because he's a little boy, she made sure he took his bath very nicely, and then, she's a mother, so she wanted to dress him very nicely and ornament him very nicely and feed him nicely, so she cooked for Krishna every day. She did not deity worship, it's her son, but same, because the deity and Krishna are the same. So she cooked for him every day and fed him every day, and then it was time to go. There's like very beautiful descriptions in our writings of our Goswamis. Krishna wanted to go, be with his friends and the calves, and Mother Yasoda's tightening his belt and making sure this and that, and Mother, it's time to go. I have to go now. And she, one more thing, take another samosa, because they would, mothers. So finally he would go. But this particular morning, it was a plan. It was a Leela plan. And he requested his mother, instead of having breakfast like usual, pack me breakfast to go. So a little bag that had all his goodies inside the bag, and off they went. So now we're going to hear some further description. It's an important part of the Leela, you'll see. One day, the verse begins, Kvachit, Krishna went out desiring to take a meal in the forest. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, only Krishna's name is mentioned, indicating that Rohini, by force, kept Balaram at home in order to bathe him and perform auspicious rites on his birthday. So next time it's Balaram's appearance day, Balaram Jayanti, you can also remember. This is the day that Balaram didn't go. It happened again the next year. There's a reason behind it. Krishna wanted Balaram to not be present. And so he happened to perform this pastime on Balaram's appearance day, so he wouldn't be there. Mother Rohini kept him at home. Waking up early in the morning, the brother of Balaram, the sole protector of the universe, developed a desire by chance. Today, we should have our morning meal in the forest. Now, here's from Gopal Champu. Those of you that are not familiar, Gopal Champu is one of the 5 Bhagavatam commentaries by Jiva Goswami. And it's a particular style. Champu is a particular style. Jiva Goswami is such an author, he wrote a book on how to write a champu. And then he wrote some champus. And it's Krishna and Vrindavan. That's what Gopal Champu is. So the way the book is written, there are these 2 brothers, as you see. It's not Jai and Vijay. It's Snigdha Kanta and Madhukanta. And one of the brothers is asking questions, and the other brother is giving the answers to the questions. Madhukanta, Snigdha Kanta. Finishing his morning duties, he asked his mother to allow this. Pleasing his mother by his actions, he went out with her permission. and with the sound of his buffalo horn woke up his friends and Balaram. Going quickly and sitting at the crossroads, waiting for his friends for a few moments, he looked around. Same Gopal Champu. Now, elsewhere, Jiva Goswami wrote another commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, Vaishnava Toshini Tika. Though Balaram desired to go, on hearing the sound of the horn, and had heard the plans from Krishna, his mother, who's his mother? Rohini. Balaram's mother? Rohini. Does the name register? Yeah, okay. Next time when somebody asks you, who is Balaram's mother, you'll know. Rohini. Okay. His mother made him perform ceremonies for safety at home on the instructions of astrologers. This was the main reason for his not being present there. Jiva Goswami is not saying it was his birthday. It was something that Rohini, having heard from astrologers, he should do this ritual, that ritual, so he had to stay back that day. That's okay. Different version. The servant related the message spoken by Balaram. Oh, my brother Krishna, though I want to play with you, something has suddenly come up to prevent me. My maternal uncle of the Puru dynasty has come to see me on some surprising business. He remains here, fixed like a tree, in the room. I know that you got up early with a special desire. Please fulfill your desire for pastimes. If some obstacle arises at the beginning of a new activity, it will prevent the action from bearing fruit. So this is wisdom from Balaram speaking to his younger brother. So now we have three slightly different reasons: his birthday, an astrologer, and some maternal uncle has come for some business, and he's required. And then another commentary. This is an important terminology is being introduced, Leela Shakti. The influence of the Leela Shakti to produce Balaram's absence in the pastimes was secondary, since Krishna's main reason for going was the picnic, whereas the killing of Aghasura and Brahma's bewilderment was incidental. That's Jiva Goswami. Now, a little background. Maybe some of you here during the Memorial Day weekend went to Orlando. How many here went to Orlando for Sadhu Sangha? Some. It's a big annual event. And while that was going on, some of the rest of us were in our farm community in Pennsylvania called Gita Nagari. And little sharing, but one of the persons, the theme was Krishna and Braja. That's what inspired me to speak on this theme with all of you, this visit, Krishna and Braja. So one of the speakers is named Garuda. Garuda Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple, is a PhD Sanskrit scholar from Harvard University. The guy's smart. And he's really fun. He's not just smart. He's a scholar and a professor at a university, and he's written several books, and he spoke on his books about Krishna and Vrindavan without all the detail. So one of the topics I spoke about was the relationship between this term that's on the screen here, Leela Shakti, and Yogamaya. And it was a whole class. Maybe one day we'll have a whole class here in Houston. There's a relationship. Our acharyas, like here Jiva Goswami and others you'll see as we go along, they're going to use this term Leela Shakti, Leela Shakti, Leela Shakti. We're used to Yogamaya, Yogamaya, Yogamaya. So what's the relationship? I gave a whole class on that topic and used the story of Aghasura to explain it. You'll see as we go along. So Yogamaya is an energy by which Krishna arranges pastimes. Yogamaya is under Krishna's direction. But he didn't send her text messages, and he didn't sit her down. He sometimes summons her and gives her some instructions. Like some of you know from Krishna's appearance day. When Krishna was the 8th child of Devaki. And the first 6 children of Devaki, sons of Vasudeva and Devaki, were killed by Kamsa. When child number 7 was in the womb of Devaki, Krishna called Yogamaya. So he gave her some instructions. Yes, some service. He gave her 3 services, and you know what those services are. So she transferred one of them. Transfer the 7th child that's in the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. Because Rohini was one of the... Rohini. Who's Rohini? Mother of Balaram, right? Yeah. Okay. So, Rohini, one of the wives of Vasudeva, was sent to be in the care of his dear friend Nanda, because he, the husband, Vasudeva, didn't trust wicked Kamsa. He could do anything at any time and didn't care. To protect his wife Rohini, he sent Rohini to be under the care of Nanda and Yashoda. So Rohini is on the other side of the river Jamuna, and Krishna's not born yet because he's the 8th child. The 7th child, transfer the 7th child to the womb of Rohini. So he'll become the older brother, my older brother. But they're not exactly brothers. They're from the same father, but not from the same mother. Rohini is not Devaki. But they're brothers, same father. So like stepbrothers. Anyway. Yashoda, the point is Yogamaya is a feature, an aspect of Krishna that he engages to facilitate his pastimes. I'll say it again. Yogamaya is an aspect of Krishna. She's not separate from Krishna, but she is a person with form and activities and name, and she's a person. She does things to facilitate Krishna's pastimes. And this term on the screen here, Lila Shakti, is the energy derived from Yogamaya by which Krishna makes those arrangements, or Yogamaya makes the arrangements to facilitate Krishna's pastimes. So, 2 answers. One answer is they're synonymous. Lila Shakti, Yogamaya. Yogamaya, Lila Shakti. They're the same. On the other hand, there is a distinction, therefore there's 2 terms. The Lila Shakti is the Shakti, or the energy, or the potency by which Yogamaya does her thing. She does Krishna's bidding to facilitate Krishna's pastimes. And what are the purpose behind Krishna's pastimes? The purpose behind Krishna's pastimes is loving exchange with his devotees. And dearmost, that's right on the screen, dearmost to the devotees, dearmost to Krishna are his beloved cowherd boys. Of course, the cowherd girls and his mother, and the residents of Vrindavan are so dear to Krishna. So to facilitate their loving dealings, Lila Shakti, Yogamaya, the energy through whom Yogamaya does what she does, that was the primary desire of Krishna, to be with his cowherd boys, having a picnic instead of having breakfast at home with mom. He would be with his cowherd boyfriends and have breakfast with them. He liked it. So Leela Shakti arranged it. So Balaram stayed home. And then in the course of the rest of what we're going to be hearing, hopefully we'll get this far, that the Aghasura demon is killed. And that's a very fascinating pastime. When we get there, you'll see. And Brahma becomes bewildered. This super intelligent person that can build the universe gets bewildered. He gets bewildered by the display of Krishna's potencies. This was the first time Krishna desired to have breakfast in the forest. Previously it was mentioned that he took breakfast and went to the forest. Vishwanath writes, in this verse it says, one day he desired to eat in the forest. After taking off his night clothing, washing his face, and dressing in attractive clothing, he quickly rose to his feet, left the house, and woke up the other boys. Now here's the pastime that comes in chapter 13. This is chapter 12. This is the pastime where Krishna's sitting having lunch with his cowherd boys. You see them in the background, but superimposed on the cowherd boys is forms of Narayana. As many cowherd boys as there are, that many forms of Narayana. Simultaneously, the cowherd boys and forms of Narayana. So the commentary from Jiva Goswami, the excellence of Krishna's manifested pastimes in Vrindavan are of many types. Some show excellence of Aishwarya, and that's the example. Krishna showing Brahma that he is the Lord of millions of universes and the form of rasa, of eternality, knowledge, and infinite bliss. So he demonstrated that physically before Lord Brahma. You don't see Lord Brahma because he's viewing what we're viewing. So some pastimes are exhibiting Aishvarya or opulence. Some show compassion. Krishna, that's Putana dressed very nicely, trying to breastfeed Krishna. But in the background, right behind her is this creature, this demon. So Krishna shows Putana compassion. And the compassion that he showed her was he not only relieved her of her sinful tendencies by killing her, but her soul went straight to the eternal spiritual realm where she became Mother Yashoda's nurse. Quite a compassionate switcheroo. And then there's other pastime. This is a very celebrated pastime of, evil Putana who offered her poisonous breast to kill Krishna to drink with the intention of killing him and attained the position of a nurse. The nurse has a name, Ambika Kalimba. She got a name too. She didn't get initiated, but she got a name. Ambika Balika, Ambika Kalimba. In the spiritual world, who else is so merciful? I surrender unto him. Now this verse, as you see where it's from, is from Canto 3. And in Canto 3, there's a scene where Uddhava is in the forest of Vrindavan because he was sent, Uddhava was sent by Krishna to carry a message to the associates of Narayana Rishi way up in Badrik Ashram in the Himalayas. But he didn't get that far. He got as far as Vrindavan. And he happens to cross paths with Vidura, who's on pilgrimage from Hastinapur. So the scene is Vrindavan. And there's Uddhava in the forest of Vrindavan, and he sees Uddhava. Uddhava! When you see Uddhava, you think of Krishna, because he even looked like Krishna, and he was such an intimate associate of Krishna. He was with Krishna constantly. He was with Krishna more than Arjuna was with Krishna. Constantly with Krishna. Constantly with Krishna. In Mathura and then in Dwarka. Constantly with Krishna. So anyway, when you see Uddhava, you think of Krishna. So he started asking Krishna, 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 and Krishna's associates in Dwarka, and how's everybody doing? And he asked all these Krishna questions. And how did Uddhava respond? He became silent and he entered into trance. His thought, he hit his Krishna button, and his thought became totally immersed. He lost contact with the external world, with internal absorption, in trance, samadhi. But he is younger than Vidura. Vidura is an elder, and one respects elders. So he struggled to come to external consciousness so he could speak something about Krishna. And this is the first what he spoke. Who else is so merciful I surrender unto him? I mean, it's not like once upon a time I started to think some nice thoughts about Krishna, so let me surrender to him, unto him. Uddhava is not a sadhaka like us. Uddhava is on the stage, platform of spiritual perfection. And even in that mood, his affection for Krishna, the loving intention of Krishna, the pastime of Krishna killing Putana, is a pastime of great mercy. Some of the pastimes of Krishna, this is chapter 8, going back a little bit, they're very sweet. He's the Supreme Person who is the source of Lord Brahma, who builds the universe, and he's the source of everything, and he's crawling around the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj with nice descriptions. When Krishna and Balaram, with the strength of their legs, crawled in the muddy places created in Braja by cow dung and cow urine, their crawling resembled the crawling of serpents, and the sound of their ankle bells was very charming. Very much pleased by the sound of other people's ankle bells, they used to follow these people as if going to their mothers. But when they saw that these were other people, they became afraid and returned to their real mothers, Yashoda and Rohini, childhood pastimes, as if he's an ordinary person. And he's a little baby that hasn't even started to walk yet, crawling. Very sweet pastimes. And more sweetness, Krishna stealing butter. You're just giving a picture of Krishna's childhood pastimes in Vrindavan. I hope you're okay with that. Here's a verse from Rupa Goswami's Padyavali. As a child, Hari was stealing butter. He noticed his own reflection in a nearby jeweled column. Thinking this to be another boy, he became frightened and begged, "You're my dear friend. I will share this butter with you. Please don't tell on me. Don't tell on me." May child Hari protect you all. The naughty Krishna. Krishna then feeding the monkeys. Oh dear friend, oh dear friend Yashoda. This is one elder gopi speaking to another, chapter 8, canto 10. Your son sometimes comes to our houses before the milking of the cows and releases the calves. And when the master of the house becomes angry, your son merely smiles. Sometimes he devises some process by which he steals palatable curd, butter, and milk, which he then eats and drinks. When the monkeys assemble, he divides it with them. And when the monkeys have their bellies so full they won't take more, he breaks the pots. Your child is naughty. But sweetness, that's the childhood pastimes. And more sweetness. Many, many, many more childhood pastimes of Krishna. Krishna desiring to take breakfast in the forest. That's this chapter. First verse. You see the fellow next to him with a shaved head? All the other boys have hair. That's Madhu Mangal. Because when they were children, there was a Brahmin boy named Madhu Mangal. Who is Madhu Mangal the son of? Madhu Mangal was the son of Purnamasi, Yogamaya personified, the mother of Sandipani Muni, his teacher. Later he became his teacher. So Purnamasi came and she had her son. She was a Brahmani and Madhu Mangal was a Brahmana boy. And he plays a very important role in Krishna's pastimes. You can see his nice smile, enjoying being with Krishna. The second verse, at that time, hundreds and thousands of cowherd boys came out of their respective homes in Brajabhumi and joined Krishna, keeping before them their hundreds and thousands of groups of calves. A lot of calves, a lot of cowherd boys. There's some places where it says asankhataha, which means there are too many to count. Commentary. The boys were very beautiful, and they were equipped with lunch bags, bugles, flutes, and sticks for the controlling of the calves. Tens, thousands of cowherd boys. Krishna's calves were asankhata, too many to count. The boys and calves together could not be counted. Now, how is this possible? We have a whole section in our retreat in Gitanagari, that pages of documents were circulated. How is it possible there's 2 miles, there's 16 kroshas square district. How can you fit that many calves and cowherd boys? The answer is, here's the answer. Vrindavan is very flexible. Vrindavan can shrink, Vrindavan can expand, just like Krishna, Mahima and Laghima. No problem, because there's spiritual potency. It's not a material thing or material place. So Vrindavan can expand and Vrindavan can contract, and it's because it's a spiritual place. So our material yardsticks don't work in Vrindavan. There's many examples of this. Here's one of those examples. You know the story of the Kaliya serpent? Krishna's dancing of the hoods of the Kaliya serpent? And that took place by the river Yamuna. And when those of you that have been to Vrindavan or will go to Vrindavan, Krishna was already at the bank of the river Yamuna, and he's in the coils of the Kaliya serpent, and a messenger ran back to the palace of Nanda Maharaj. The palace of Nanda Maharaj at Nandagram, by taxi, it takes about maybe an hour and a half. Depends. That's by taxi. Somebody made it all the way back, and then Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda, and all the people panicked. Krishna's in the coils of Kaliya serpent, please go immediately. So they ran. But they got there, the distance became less because Vrindavan was facilitating Krishna's pastimes. You got it? Vrindavan can expand and contract to match the service, the lila of the occasion. So the size, and there's a whole. You send me a little message, a text message, not now, but at the end of class, and I'll send you. Then you can circulate to the others this description of the the potencies that are within Krishna's purview in his pastimes in Vrindavan and outside of Vrindavan. Just like inconceivable potencies. We'll do it this way, besides the numbers. The nature of a living entity is they have some potency. The nature of the supreme living entity has unlimited potency. And the unlimitedness of the unlimited is unlimited. It's beyond, the mind can't get around it because the math doesn't work. But he's not limited by our math, our calculations of time and space. But it's built into the pastime. I'm just, as we're going along, we haven't gotten too far yet. The Dham is unlimited. This is commentary. Even a small portion of the holy Dham is sufficient to accommodate billions of universes, each measuring 50 million miles in diameter. I think I'm going to have to end shortly because I've been going too much. The Dham is unlimited. Here's Jiva Goswami describing. In the Rasa Lila section of 10th Canto Bhagavatam, 1 billion gopis gathered at that place for Rasa dance. And 1 billion gopis in one place? I mean, come on. But the spiritual potency can expand and shrink. No problem. To accommodate the pastimes of Krishna, everything happens. Vrindavan is such a place. And is that mythology? It's not mythology. It's the unlimited potency of the personality of Godhead. Here's a description quoting Jiva Goswami in Brihat Bhagavatamrita. There's no question of impediments, obstacles, or limitations because the Lord, His associates, and His holy Dham have inconceivable powers. So that's as we go along, and you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, it's revealing about Krishna. It's important to understand the unlimitedness. At least the mind can't get around what's unlimited, but the nature of Krishna is He's unlimited. So here we are. We got as far as verse number 3. And after the commentary, we're going to end. Along with the cowherd boys and their groups of calves, Krishna came out with an unlimited number of calves assembled. Then, they're just getting ready to leave Vrindavan and go to the forest. All the boys began to sport in the forest in a greatly playful spirit. So then comes all this nice discussion about their playfulness. There you see the word asankyata. It's right within the verse. He holds a string of jewels and counts the cows. He calls out the names of the leaders of the groups of cows using his flute. He counts the groups of cows using different colored beads. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, though the number of cows is unlimited, he counts the group leaders, or he shows his skill by counting them all, for the Lord is more intelligent than the most intelligent. So it's beyond our capacity. Such unlimited numbers are indicated here by the word asankyatahi. Asankyatai. Krishna is unlimited. His potency is unlimited. His cows and calves are unlimited. And his space is unlimited. That's Prabhupada's language. If we study Krishna's potency with our limited knowledge, that potency will never be possible to understand. And here's a nice example. You recognize this verse? Some of you have been around for a while. Atakshi Krishna Namadina Bhaved Grayam Indriyai Sevan Mukhihi Jivada Swayameva Sparatyada. Therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is. Nice. So I'm going to end here because of time. And those that will be with us tomorrow, we're just going to begin these next 7 verses. And it's just play and play and play and more play. And so, but it's transcendental because they're with Krishna. And they're acting, Krishna is acting with them as if he's one of them, as if he's a little boy, just playing. But Krishna's at the center, and so it's not just little boys play. It's transcendental. And hearing about the play of little boys is, in relation to Krishna, is fully transcendental. Thus it's in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it opens the stage for the pastime of the appearance of Aghasura. And what the cowherd boy, the mood of playfulness, when they see the Aghasura demon, they think it's just another facility for playing. They said, oh, somebody put this toy out here for us to play with, out in the forest. Fantastic, let's go play. You'll see as we go forward. It's a transcendental mood of loving dealings. So there's the next verse, but we'll go there tomorrow evening. The clock is saying it's 8:22. We'll take some time to see if there's some discussion or questions. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the wonderful descriptions of Lord's pastimes. I have 2 questions. So one is, Krishna's age is eternally constant, right? He's Yavana. So
that's in the spiritual, in Goloka, he doesn't have birth. In Bhoma Leela, he has birth and age changes.
So my question is, in spiritual world, does these childhood pastimes happen?
No childhood pastimes. There's no birth. Navayovana, he's always 16. Now, there's a detail. It's an important detail. Within Krishna is everything. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Within Krishna is everything. And so that means that which is manifest when he comes into this world is within Krishna than the spiritual world. But that potency, that potential, that lila is not manifest. But when he appears in the material world, it's manifest. Although it's within this, he who is the source of everything does not manifest. And then it becomes manifest. So that there's a certain sweetness of Krishna's pastimes in this world that is within Krishna in the spiritual world, but is not manifest. And they're very sweet. Go ahead. Next.
So Krishna comes in different times, ages and times, and in different universes.
Yes.
Every time there will be different pastimes or the same.
Yes. The way the Prabhupada described is like this. He described using worldly example of his time when there were moving pictures of his time. It wasn't digital. It was a frame, and then it's the next frame slightly different, the next frame slightly different, next frame slightly different. Thus moving pictures on a spool. So he used that word, a spool, because that's how movie pictures or movies were shown. You put the spool on the projector and then you project, and it looks like someone's moving or something is moving. It's just images, images, images. So Prabhupada's explanation, using that worldly example, Krishna's pastimes are like on a spool. There are certain themes, but there's variety within those themes. So sometimes, and sometimes. The theme, that rasa, is consistent. Krishna is experiencing and stimulating rasa in his devotees. But the details are a little different, little different, little different. It's not just like a rerun of the same movie. The theme, the rasa, is similar, almost the same. And the details are a little different. This time, that time, the next time. And his explanation of why? Because variety is the mother of enjoyment. So sometimes a little different, sometimes variety is the mother of enjoyment. Krishna's enjoyment. He's enjoying. And his devotees are enjoying. And he's enjoying the enjoyment of his devotees and vice versa. So there's some variety, but there's a theme. You use this word spool. The theme is consistent. Variety within the theme. Okay.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. This question is related little bit from the study class.
Related to which?
Yesterday's class.
Yesterday's class, fine.
You were talking about the 5 main rasas.
Yes, I was.
So in the morning I was listening another class by you. I do not remember which place, where you were mentioning about the emotions.
Yes.
Emotions are temporary.
Yes.
So earlier my misconception probably, I was thinking I was attaching emotions and rasas together.
Okay, that there is emotion within rasa, yes.
So the another question related with this, everybody has those 5 main rasas?
No, everyone has a rasa, a constitutional rasa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we don't have all 5, we have one of them. Or sometimes, like some relationships with Krishna, eternal relationship with Krishna, there's a mood of service as well as friendship. Because with friendship there's more intimacy. So some servants are more reverential type of servants. And some servants are more intimate and like a friend. They're serving, but they become like a friend. So it's a different rasa. Yeah, so emotion is connected to rasa. Something that you said earlier, emotion is temporary. No, there's spiritual and there's material emotion. And like this prior question, that pastimes in Krishna's childhood, they're not manifest in Goloka, in the spiritual world, but they're within Krishna, and then when they're manifest, so just like we heard yesterday, the situation with Baka, and when Krishna was in the mouth of the Baka demon, they fainted. And that emotion was temporary, because later Krishna left the mouth of Baka and killed Baka, and then their consciousness restored. So the emotion faded, but it was a fully spiritual emotion because it's in relation to Krishna. So temporary, but spiritual. And temporary because it's insubstantial, the material. Supposing someone feels pleasure and it can become pain quickly. Just like, for a while ago the fan was running. And it was noisy. And he very kindly shut the fan off. Thank you. And, I was they have the thing pointed towards me and it was like uncomfortable. And it was nice when it stopped. But, supposing it gets to be, because the weather's supposed to go up, maybe the fan will be nice. Supposing it's the wintertime, the fan is not nice. It's temporary. Pleasure, pain, happiness, and distress. The physical and the subtle mental is temporary. And then there's that in relation to Krishna, and it's like the flow of a river that doesn't end. And the flow of the river, sometimes the waves rise, and sometimes the waves subside. And then the wave downstream rises again. So there's ever-changingness in the spiritual because it's very fluid or dynamic, not static. So that's a little on the temporariness of emotion. You want to add something?
Just regarding that, so when we involved in the services, so how someone can get their relationship, like a 5 primary rasas, in which rasa he or she
How are you going to find out what your rasa is? That's
Yes.
your question.
Yes.
Become the advanced devotee. It's revealed to you. How do you know when you've eaten enough? You eat and you eat and you eat, and at a certain point in your time you say, no, thank you. So when one becomes spiritually full and thus materially not attracted, that revelation comes. Krishna bestows that revelation. It's from Krishna to the living entity who demonstrates their sincere desire to remain in his service, and the spiritual identity is already there, but it becomes revealed. There's a difference between theory, which we just discussed, the theory of 5 primary rasas, and then there's the realization of. And spiritual life is meant to bring us to the realization of everything. In time. And when maturity comes, the Tulsi plant will grow, and the Tulsi plant will produce Tulsi manjaris, and the manjaris will then produce Tulsi seeds. And then you have another Tulsi. So in the mature stage. It's revealed. It's intrinsic. He's got a... You have something, yes?
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. So, yesterday you also talked about secondary rasas.
I did, briefly.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on that?
No, it's a big topic. It's a Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That's elaboration on it. But the principle is simple. So I'll speak on the principle. In addition to primary, there's 7 secondary, and then mixtures of the 7 secondary, and then you get it when you put in a blender and turn on high speed, and it becomes love for Krishna with different flavors, experiences. So those 7, we mentioned one when Krishna went into the mouth of Aghasura. Astonishment. And they fainted. They're like, it was a very heightened astonishment. And then another one we heard is Krishna's compassion. That he delivered Putana to the spiritual world. That's like big time compassion. And when recognizing, not that the residents of Vrindavan were aware of that, they just saw Krishna, they saw what they saw. But let's say Krishna's feeding the monkeys. or Krishna's affection for the cows. There, there's a relationship between Krishna and all these other living entities, and they have a secondary rasa, or they may experience a secondary rasa that rises and then withdraws or subsides, and then another one, and then another one, and another one. So it's again using that metaphor of a river. As the river flows, there's water moving downstream, and in addition, there's sometimes little choppy waves, sometimes there's big waves, sometimes it's a hurricane, sometimes it's very calm. And so there are different states of the primary being moved and mixed with secondary. And part of Krishna's pastimes stimulates, it's called udipan, the Krishna's different behaviors and activities, and the Yogamaya stimulates a secondary rasa, and then it subsides. And then another one, and then another one. Like the flowing of the water of a river. But to learn more, it's not so difficult. It's a little technical, but Rupa Goswami was empowered by Lord Chaitanya to understand the science of rasa, and it's in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or summarized in Nectar Devotion. So one of our essential texts is Nectar Devotion. More?
But Guru Maharaj, you mentioned that there are emotions with each rasas. So wouldn't we call those as emotions?
There's you say there's emotions with rasas. You're saying that I said that. There's a mood, rather, there's a mood of a servant towards the master. That's dasya. No, that's a mood, and with the mood there's an emotion. But the emotions are fluid. That the primary is I want to serve. Master, servant to the master, I want to serve. And then friend to friend. So there's mood, the primary is, the predominant is the mood. And then there's emotions. Like the cowherd boys go through this emotion, that emotion, and their playfulness with Krishna. And then comes the startling Aghasura python thing right in the middle of the path. So there's their friendship continues, but there's this emotion, that emotion within that framework.
So basically, this is you can also categorize that as an emotion like astonishment or compassion.
Those are secondary rasas. That they go along with the primary rasa. They enhance, they enrich, they nourish the primary. And it's all Krishna's doing, stimulating that emotion, because Krishna is reciprocating. He is rasa, he is the source of all rasa, and he's stimulating that rasa that's within them. And he enjoys doing that. And they enjoy his doing that, and it's love, a loving exchange. Anyone else? In the back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, in one of your slides, there was something saying like somebody is comparing to the devotion of the very high level devotees, and that slide is saying, when I look at their devotion, I feel I'm nowhere.
That's Rupa. Yeah.
So if somebody like Rupa Goswami can say that, somebody at our level, if I sincerely pray to Krishna that Krishna, I have no strength to, I realize on a theoretical level, I realized I made a mistake, and therefore I had to leave Goloka Vrindavan. On theoretical level, I completely understand and I completely surrender.
But
But I'm ready, if you take me right now, I'm ready to go back. Just take me right now. Why Krishna doesn't take us?
Well, he's not obliged. You stamp your little foot and he jumps. That's not how it works.
So does that mean we are still, even though we are saying it, we are still really at the heart, we are not ready?
We're attached to stuff. And there's, what's the stuff? There's a long list of stuff. We're attached. You can recognize, gosh, I made a boo-boo. I made a wrong turn. The GPS will tell you how to get back on track, but you can't just like snap your fingers and you're back on track. Yeah, there's purification. There's an eligibility, an adhikar, for restoring our position in the spiritual world. Krishna is capable of picking us up and dusting us off and pronto taking us to the spiritual world. It's in his power to do that. So why doesn't he do that? That's your question. Yeah. Because he wants our love. He doesn't just want us to be like a little child stomping her foot saying, I want. Sometimes parents, if a little child says, I want, they'll immediately take care of what they want. And sometimes they won't. Parenting is an interesting service. But it's not that Krishna is obliged, although he can. He wants us to become fit to be eternally in his loving service. And we have to qualify ourselves. It's sensible. And it's also loving. The varieties of love. He can put in a zoom, off she goes. No problem for him. So if he can, why doesn't he? That's your question. There's different relationships with different living entities and different intensities of our absorption in him, and he reciprocates. Okay. Thank you all for coming, and if you're with us tomorrow, we'll continue. We're going to hear about the playfulness of the cowherd boys, and then their encounter with this giant python. The python is so big, it's described that his mouth is wide open, the lower jaw is on the ground, and the upper jaw is in the clouds. This guy's big. There's a description, the body, as the body of Putana when she was killed was 8 miles, Aghasura is 8 miles long. So when we were coming back from Gita Nagari, there's one devotee that's a mathematician. They said as they were driving from Gita Nagari, which is in mid-Pennsylvania, to New Jersey, they were counting how many pythons, how many Aghasuras there were. And I said, how many was it? She said something like 23 and a half. So 8 divided 8 inch. So the odometer was passing. They were counting how many Aghasuras. Anyway, it's absorption in thought of Krishna in an interesting way. So hopefully as many as can come, please come. And if not, then it'll be recorded like it's going on, and you can hear it again. But immersion as we heard, at the very beginning of this class, just by hearing and remembering and reciting these pastimes, has the potency to fulfill all spiritual desire. Our whatever it is that's going on that we're attached to that keeps us here, there's something that can slacken that attachment, and that's attachment for Krishna. And the method is sound. Srimad Bhagavatam is that sound, along with the Mahamantra and other ways of glorifying Krishna through deity worship and other forms of service. But it starts with sound. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki.